Thursday, December 30th, we kick things off with the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Hopefully the trophy doesn't get smashed this year. I can't remember who. Was it Wisconsin? It was Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, yeah.
Wisconsin busted the trophy last year, ruined the inaugural Duke's Mayo Bowl. This one's North Carolina versus South Carolina. I'm going North Carolina because of Sam Howell, and that's about it. South Carolina sucks.
I'm going North Carolina too. Again, these two teams I don't really watch. I don't really have a lot of information on them. But
Well, I mean, North Carolina was ranked in the top 15 at the beginning of the season. They
That's
sucked
kinda-
this year, but South Carolina sucks worse.
that's kind of where I was going with it. North Carolina was nationally, top 25 nationally ranked at the beginning of the year. They sucked this year, sure, but South Carolina was just that much worse. I went with North Carolina. So
I'm going North Carolina too. Like I said, I like that program. Mac Brown has done a great job up at North Carolina. South Carolina, I think they're waiting until next year with Rattler. I think that's what they're hoping, that he can be a saving grace. I don't know if he will be, but that's what they're hoping for. And it's not like he can play this game, so I'm going to go North Carolina because I like their program a lot more.
Big rivalry. I don't know if you guys know this, but North Carolina and South Carolina is actually a pretty big rivalry. This game gets chippy. They played each other a couple years ago, and I just remember them getting into it a little bit. North Carolina is 6-6. They're a better team than their record says. The last 5 games they played Notre Dame, Wake, Pitt, and NC State and Wofford, but who cares? That's 4 ranked teams. They did beat Wake by 3. And then they lost to NC State by 4.
Thank you for reminding me. I lost that bet by half. That was my parlay. I lost by half.
There you go. So they've played top 10 teams pretty close, including a big win against Wake. If Sam Howell plays, they should roll. They should roll big. I know the line's 9. If Sam Howell plays, I think North Carolina covers.
Talking about this year's Kyle Trask. Kyle Trask was a top 5 pick basically last year before the season started. Basically fell out of his first round. Sam Howell was projected to be the number 1 quarterback in his class, and now fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Just a tough season for him.
Yeah, I mean, North Carolina, too. If they could play like a defense, they probably win 8 games this year.
North Carolina lost their 2 big running backs to Javonte Williams that they give the Broncos.
Absolute dog. I love Javonte.
Next game up, Music City Bowl. We'll go quickly through this one because I know Jeremy doesn't want to spend a lot of time talking about one of these 2 schools. I'm on Purdue, roll Boilermakers, mainly because Tennessee's pass defense sucks, and that's all Purdue can do. So I'm going Boilermakers.
I got Purdue too. Not really much to say other than I choose Purdue.
I'm going Purdue as well. Sorry, Jared. Tennessee doesn't have Peyton Manning starting for that team, and that's one of the worst programs in the SEC currently, so I'm going Purdue.
You guys are falling in the trap. I'm telling you, boiler down, baby. Tennessee Volunteers. I'm on an island here. I will never root for Purdue. I'm sorry. I don't care if they're 12-0 in the playoffs. Boiler down. And what is their Tennessee's?
It's Rocky Top.
Rocky Top, Tennessee.
You're going to volunteer.
Voluntarily probably loses, but go volunteer.
He's volunteering.
I respect the passion and for your team.
Why is that even a big rivalry? I mean, Purdue sucks.
Purdue's always been the little brother, but they act like the big brother. It's just like,
I mean, they're smarter, but
not as good as sports.
Next game up that we have, Peach Bowl. The Peach Bowl was a classic last year between Georgia and Cincinnati. This year we got Michigan State versus Pitt. I said that Tennessee couldn't defend the pass. Michigan State cannot defend a pass. For that reason, I'm going with 2-glove Kenny Pickett. He will be the highest profile 2-glove quarterback next season. Put it in the bank, but I think
TDB. I know that. I love me some 2-glove quarterbacks.
I think Pickett is gonna get the win for Pitt. Hopefully he plays, even if he doesn't. Michigan State is paper tiger.
I'll go first here. I've heard this from a couple of Michigan State fans. Our defense is bend don't break. When you hear that, that's not good, especially against Kenny Pickett, who's thrown for 4,300 yards, 42 touchdowns.
And bend don't break.
Including we did forget 2 things. 1, Kenneth Walker's not playing in the game. He's declared. 2, Kenny Pickett did change the college football by the fake slide. So I am rolling Pittsburgh big. They're the dog here. I think Pittsburgh's going to smoke them.
I originally had Michigan State until I heard that Kenneth Walker isn't playing because I know Pittsburgh, the ACC, doesn't have the best run game, or run defense. Like I said, Kenny Pickett, if he is playing, I mean, honestly, there's a good chance he may not play. Let's keep it a buck here. And if Kenneth Walker and Kenny Pickett both don't play,
then it becomes interesting.
Then it becomes good. It's real interesting.
Then you gotta trust Mel Tucker. Do we trust Mel Tucker?
No, we don't. Not
We should go to Boulder and ask them if they trust Mel Tucker.
We don't trust Mel Tucker, and because I hate Mel Tucker and I like Kenny
Nobody wants to
Pickett,
be
I'm going
to
Pitt.
see you.
I'll be on the island here. I'll stick with my guns and I'll go Michigan State. Yeah, sure. Defense, bend, don't break. Not necessarily. Give me
I
a
thought
vote
you
of
wanted
confidence
a
here.
title belt.
It's not giving me a vote
They
of
can't
confidence.
stop anything.
Okay, it's not. But
Can't stop a park car.
I made the pick. I'm not changing for anything, and I'll be the only one who's on the island.
It was the wrong
and-
Pickett, I'll tell you that.
And if I do end up getting that pick right, I'm the only one who gets a point. So that
That's
gets
a
me
good
one
point.
step closer to the title belt.
8 point. Yep. I don't know. Okay. Next game up, Las Vegas Bowl. Wisconsin versus Arizona State. Both teams 8-4. Wisconsin knocked out of the Big Ten championship by losing to Minnesota, and Arizona State had probably one of the highest IQ football plays. I don't know if you guys saw that. A guy was getting tackled, and it was on the last. It was the last play of the half, I think, or the last play of the game. As he's going down, he sees one of his other teammates is running around away from everybody. Everybody's trying to tackle him and get him down. He pitches the ball. They score a touchdown. End
Like a
up
rugby
going on winning the game.
That's crazy. A lot of IQ out of that low IQ school.
Ooh. Well,
I'm
Okay,
just saying.
you're not
wrong.
I'm just saying.
I think we have a little bit of bitterness there, but I'm going, hey, forks up. Herm Edwards is going to get Arizona State a win in this bowl game, and Wisconsin sucks. Wisconsin is big.
boy.
They only benefit from being in the worst part of the Big Ten. So if they were in the East, they wouldn't even be relevant, and they're only relevant because they're in the West. So.
I'll
AFC.
jump in here because I hate Arizona State and forks down always. Talk about a team that is in the worst side of the conference. Arizona State plays the children of the poor in that side of the Pac-12. Their Pac-12
Including
consists-
CU.
That
Including
side of the
CU.
Pac-12 is the Pac-12
Yeah.
champion.
Yes, I know.
That side of the Pac-12 is the Pac-12 champion.
Outside of that one team, the rest of the conference is absolute garbage.
It'll be next
Absolute garbage. And shout out Herm Edwards because Arizona State's program has been absolutely downhill the last 10 years, whatever it was, and they got lucky that Herm Edwards has stepped up. And I am trusting a program that has solidified themselves at the top or near the top of the Big Ten almost every single year in Wisconsin over an Arizona State team that just barely broke into the Pac-12 this year.
Nico, I'm not gonna comment on your Arizona State, but I will just say this: you don't ever pick against Wisconsin in bowl games. They are tough to prepare for. They're very physical. Yes, they did lose against Minnesota in that game, but Minnesota was up and going for that game. Tough place to beat the Gophers. So hey, listen to this: they beat Iowa 27-7, Rutgers 52-3, Northwestern 35-7, and Nebraska, who's actually been a pretty tough team, 35-28. The Badgers will handle the non-physical.
You want to talk about toughness?
Force.
Wisconsin toughness is completely different.
Completely different.
than ASU toughness.
I
I'll say
agree.
that.
I am also going with Wisconsin. Like you said, very hard to pick against them in bowl games.
Yep.
The other thing that I will say too, the last couple of years, I'm pretty sure. I mean, they've been decently consistent. I mean, like you said, they've always asserted themselves as one of the at least top 50% teams in the Big Ten. So
Well, if you had
I'm
to play
going-
Indiana every season, and
Hey,
you do,
hey,
And,
we don't play
uh,
Wisconsin every year.
all I'm
it
saying
could be
is,
really easy to be top of the Big Ten then.
all I'm saying is, they have asserted themselves as that top 50%, even sometimes top 75%. So I'm going with Wisconsin.
There's a lot of disrespect for Herm Edwards in Arizona State.
It's no disrespect to Herm Edwards. I like Herm Edwards. Everything else about that school can kick rocks.
Okay, that's
Okay,
fine.
Mr.
I'll give you
Loaf boy.
I'll give you a game. That's fine. And that's actually the end of the 30th. So now we'll go into New Year's Eve and talk about the games on the 31st. All right, New Year's Eve games. We start off with the, I believe is this still the TaxSlayer.com Gator Bowl, or is it
Yeah,
just
it is the tax
All
layer.
right,
God
there
damn.
we go.
God,
Wake Forest, the Demon Deacons, and Texas A&M, the Aggies. Now, I love Sam Hartman, the quarterback for Wake Forest. I've talked about him at length. Yes, he looks like a copy and pasted version of Sam Howell. We don't have to talk about that. When they were talking, they were showing Sam Howell and Sam Hartman talking to each other on College Game Day before their game, and I was like, I don't even. They were both in black long sleeves. They both have the same beard. They looked like brothers, so I couldn't tell who was who. But given all of that, I don't think that you can pick a Wake Forest team who's overperforming against a Texas A&M team who's got a lot of talent is coached by Jimbo Fisher, who has been in big games before, and this is the biggest game that Wake Forest has ever played in. Like, Wake Forest is not a power. This is a aberration for Wake Forest. This is not the norm, and Texas A&M lives football. So I'm going with the Aggies. I think that they beat the crap out of Wake Forest, unfortunately.
After the way that Wake Forest has performed this year, to me, it's difficult to try to pick against them. Sure, it might be an aberration, but there's still at least, there's one game left in this aberration of a season. Why would it go any different than it has for the rest of the season? So I'm going with Wake Forest.
I'm going to go Wake Forest here as well. People forget the first game that this third-string quarterback that Texas A&M is on from the start of the year, because they lost their quarterback in the preseason, and then they lost their other quarterback in the game against CU, first or second possession of the game. I don't trust them at all, and I think Jimbo Fisher is still looking at other jobs. I think now that he sees Texas is coming to the SEC, I think he may jump to a Big Ten school or to a different school, because I don't know how long he will. Because Texas A&M, I feel like, is going to have one of the biggest drop-offs because of Oklahoma and Texas. For that matter, it's Wake Forest here. A lot of seniors on that team, but a team that's basically been fighting for their lives and everyone counted out all season. Plus 4.5 underdog. I'll take Wake Forest.
Wait a second. Didn't Jimbo Fisher just sign an extension with Texas A&M?
I know, but I don't like. I
pay him like $10 million a year. If for $10 million a year,
still
for $10 million a year, you would stay at Texas A&M.
If we want to go with semantics as well, Texas A&M has the best win of the season.
Bingo. And second of all, sorry to interrupt you. Jimbo Fisher's 8-2 in bowl games. He doesn't lose, and you got Wake Forest. You can't stop a parked car, dude. I'm telling you, A&M. What is the line on this game? I'm hammering A&M.
-4.5.
Oh my, it's a lock. A&M -4.5. Wake Forest can't stop a parked car. They're horrible on defense. Sorry, Dom. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I thought you were going to try to bring up the coaching argument and paying your coaches. Just because you pay your head coach $10 million a year or whatever it is doesn't mean shit for your team.
True.
John Gruden.
I'm just saying, John Gruden.
That's the NFL, though.
Still,
it's
USC
just,
bought Lincoln Riley's house and a new house.
And a new jet.
I understand. All I'm saying is, your coach is sure the head of your program, the figurehead, whatever, but he doesn't do any. He doesn't do it.
Jimbo Fisher's record is 117-37. I think he deserves the $10 million a year.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not telling you he's not worth $10 million a year, but just because you pay him that much doesn't guarantee you winning the bowl game.
Well, no. The argument I was saying with Nico is that he says that Jimbo Fisher was going to look for other jobs, and I was saying if you're getting paid $10 million a year, I think I would coach Texas.
The only reason why I say that is because I think there's a reason why A&M was as good as it is. It's because they moved to the SEC, and those Texas recruits wanted to play in the SEC. Now that Texas is coming into the picture, yes, Texas has sucked recently, and Oklahoma as well. I think a lot of those recruits those Texas recruits that still want to play in the SEC. Why would you not go to Texas now?
Because Texas A&M has the best coach out of those three.
They do 100%. I agree, but at the same time,
I think they have the opportunity to be the best college in Texas. Like Texas A&M,
Baylor's right there too.
Well, yeah, Baylor. Baylor is up there, but Texas
Baylor's a
A&M.
different animal.
Baylor's good. We'll get to Baylor in a minute.
Are you picking Texas A&M, Jeremy? Or
I'm gig 'em. Gig 'em.
There we go. Next game, we have the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. Washington State versus Miami. The U, not Miami of Ohio. I don't know if I had to designate that or not, but Cristobal's not coaching in this.
Not
game,
coaching.
right?
It's the intern.
Didn't make sense if he was, but I think that's worth mentioning. I think Miami. This is probably the most hope Miami fans should have for quite some time. I mean, I know that they had the year where they lost to Clemson in the ACC championship, but this seems like the guy that can bring back the state of Miami. Now, that is what they've needed for a long time. They finally, I think, found somebody who can maybe get them there. That being said, Miami this year is
Dog water.
I don't think that they're going to beat Washington State. I think it's going to be a close game, but I'm going to go with the guy who's a former local kid in Max Borghi, who had a great game in the when Washington State last played.
I don't think he's playing.
He might not.
I don't think he's playing because I saw that he declared on Twitter, so I don't think he's playing. I love the kid too, but I don't think he's playing. So that was a factor in anything.
It doesn't really. I mean, I don't trust Miami. You said it last year. I shouldn't have picked. I picked Miami in the bowl pick'em last year. I shouldn't have picked Miami.
Screwed me out of the win.
Yeah, I am.
Pick Miami, please don't.
I'm going Wazoo. I think the Cougs will get it done.
I'm going Washington State too. I don't have anything new to add. It's pretty much the same thing.
I'm gonna go with you. Screw it. Yeah.
You're an idiot.
There's a reason why I was last place last year, so I'm gonna stick with my guns and hopefully that luck changes. I'm gonna go with you. I think the pro. Look, obviously Chris Paul isn't coaching, but there's an awe about the program. There's a little bit more juice. There's a little more pep in your step. There's a little more persona that the U may be back, and I think that they may take that with the heart. And Washington State is a program that is bringing a new coach too as well, and that they're completely changing things around too. So they're in the middle of a coaching change as well. So it's not like the U is the only one here, and I it's not like I trust Miami. I just think that they have a little more juice in their legs now that Chris Paul's walking in the door.
I think Miami's like 1-11 in the last 12 bowl games or some crazy stat like that. You don't pick Miami in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl in El Paso, Texas. Miami's not going to be. Listen to me. Miami's very young.
Not being played in Florida.
Miami, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Miami's not. They have a very great young core, but they're not there yet. They're not there yet. They're not going to be. They're not going to get up for this game. They're horrible in bowl games. Yes, they've been on fire. They won 4 of the last 5. Washington State, who just came off a big W against Washington, finally getting over the hump in the Apple Cup. I like the Cougs, and I will never pick Miami in a bowl game until they prove me otherwise. If I could put, like if we had a double game or something like that, I would double on Washington State to win this game.
That's
just make your dad upset every single.
No, my dad told me to pick Washington State.
That was the argument that you gave last year when I picked them. Is that your dad is the biggest Miami fan? And even he said, "Do not take the Hurricanes.
Do not pick them."
Next game that we have here, interesting. It's the Arizona Bowl. This is the Barstool Sports Bowl. This one not being played on TV. It is going to be streamed over. It's barstool.tv is the URL, but. Portnoy and Big Cat are going to be the commentators of this game. Big Cat is parachuting into the game. If we're talking about shit shows, this is a shit show. I think it's going to be must-see entertainment, and it is fitting that a max score
on
is...
Nickelodeon
This
for
is
NFL.
like going to see The Lion King or Disney on Ice. It's like I don't want to watch it, but like it may be entertaining, so I'm gonna watch it. Like it's like one of those games like, this game probably gonna suck. There's definitely better games on. There's definitely better things to do, but I guess I'm gonna watch the shit show.
Here, let me tell you the matchup: Central Michigan versus Boise State. Now, Boise State is known for doing some wild shit in bowl games, and it's the MAC. I think this one, if you aren't watching this game, you're gonna miss something historic.
It's on the same day as the New Year's 6th, is it not? So
it is.
I was just gonna say that literally you have the Barstool Bowl with Big Cat parachuting into the stadium, and then right after that you got Alabama and Cincinnati in the playoff. We're talking about a complete polar opposite of 2 college football games. Could not be more polar opposites.
2021 is drunk. That's what we're learning, because also Alabama's playing Cincinnati in the college football playoff.
Which we'll get to in a minute.
We're not going to pick that one right now. I'm going Central Michigan, because if it's the Barstool Sports Bowl, I think that the MAC school, it's got to be swayed towards the MAC in this one. So Central Michigan, give me the Chippewas. I like the Chippewas. Or I think it's the Chippewas. I believe it is.
That's a cool mascot. I'll give them that. I don't know. The MAC's just so inconsistent to me. I'm gonna go with Boise. That's really the only reason that I can think of. I don't really pay attention to Boise, and I don't really pay attention to the Chippewas or whoever it is. So to me, I'm just gonna pick Boise because why not?
You want to talk about not a rivalry, something that what's the fucking word?
Give me a sentence, or give me a
Oh my
description.
god, I'm an idiot. Talking about like something that is bet on a certain way, like
Suede?
No.
Favored?
Tradition?
No, favored, like something. What was the segment that we had? Where it was? Oh my god.
I don't know.
Pick your pick.
I'm going Central Michigan because I think that the MAC will win it because of it's run by Barstool, and I think
Favored.
No, favored, not favored. Oh my God. Well, wow.
Oh,
that's gonna piss me off.
fact or cap? It's a conspiracy.
Yeah, conspiracy theory. There you
Thank
go.
you.
Conspiracy
Okay.
theory. The Barstool Sports Bowl is going to be won by a MAC school because it has to be won by. Wow, I can't believe I could.
Thank you, everybody, for following us through with that. I think,
what was that? I'm picking the
We're talking about shit games all day. Can't wait till we get to the good.
Western
games.
Michigan Broncos. I picked the Denver Broncos on last Sunday. Picking the Boise State Broncos today. The Broncos will win in a bowl game that I don't know if it's much must-see TV because you're probably going to see the whole thing on Twitter. And
it's not TV. But.
Oh, yeah, must-see streaming.
Yes.
But you'll be seeing a lot of Twitter stuff. So I'd imagine this will be quite a turnaround or a little warm-up before the two massive games right following afterwards.
By the way, Portnoy and Big Cat have bet on this game. I listened to the Barstool Pick'em show. They have money on this fucking game.
I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to bet on a game when you're announcing it, but
It's their bowl.
they can do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, it's
They
like,
bought a bowl.
Yeah, they bought a bowl.
We gave Dan
At this
Portnoy a bowl.
point, at this point, they did that. Why not just bet on it too?
Yeah.
All right. Now we finally get in to
Fine.
the college football playoff semifinal games. We'll kick things off with the Cotton Bowl Classic. Alabama coming off of their SEC championship victory over the former number 1 ranked Georgia Bulldogs and taking on undefeated, first time ever Group of 5 team in the college football playoff, the Cincinnati Bearcats. Luke Fickell, Spencer Ritter. Oh man, and
Fun names.
this one there's intrigue mainly because it's the first time that we're seeing a Group of 5 team there, and it's easy to think that it's possible the upset's going to happen. What I want to say to everybody out there is college football has a weird way of things that are supposed to happen. There are weird things that do happen, like Boise beating Oklahoma. Crazy. This ain't going to be one of those times. It's not a Cinderella. There ain't no carriage. It's a pumpkin. No fairy godmother. It's not happening. Cincinnati, I apologize. I wish you well. I think you're going to win the Big 12 in a couple of years. It ain't this year. So, I'm going Bama.
I'm Cincinnati.
Here we go. Here we go.
Yeah. So, truthfully,
Do you work for Disney?
I wish I did. I wish I did sometimes. I want so badly for Cincinnati to win this game for so many reasons. Number one, I'm already happy because we got some diversity. We got different teams in the college football playoff. Fantastic. I'm happy. Now I think, at least my hope is that Cincinnati is going to continue to ride this wave and somehow, some way take down the juggernaut that is Alabama. This is very, very difficult to try to pick against Alabama. Don't get me wrong. And I'm pretty sure they're the reason why I won last year's bowl pick'em. So I might shoot myself in the foot. It might come to bite me in the ass. I have no idea. But I'm going with Cincinnati.
Let me keep it a buck with you, Dom. It'd be the biggest upset in college football history since Cincinnati won. That's not even a question.
Sports
top,
history.
Top. I don't know about sports history. There's been some.
It would. I don't disagree.
And poor Cincinnati, like, you get the kudos. We got in the playoff. Hell yeah!
You got to play Alabama.
Shit.
Oh,
Alabama, are you kidding
crap.
me? They may have had a chance against Michigan. They may have had a chance against some of these other teams. You face Alabama, the reigning champs with the Heisman Trophy winner, and you are a minus 14 underdog. Oh my God! I'm sorry. Like I said, I hope Cincinnati does well. I hope they make it a game. But I think this is a game I may throw on the Barstool game and watch replays of that instead of watching the second half of this game, because we may see whoever the quarterback is in 2 years for Alabama start, or the next big transfer quarterback for Alabama play. Because I don't think Bryce Young plays the second half. It's a completely different story when you play in a game that is where's the game? It's
Cotton Bowl's in Louisiana or Texas.
Dallas.
That's okay. Another place that obviously it's Cincinnati. It's a little bit different, but Alabama is known to travel to Texas, go to Texas A&M games. It's going to be a different type of atmosphere where Cincinnati is walking into a game where the stadium is going to be 75% red, and it's not Cincinnati red.
God bless. Do I really just want to I will be rooting for Cincinnati because
I think everyone is.
I understand.
because I cannot stand stand Alabama with I just hate them. I hate them next to Michigan, which we'll get to in a minute. But Nico is 100% right. You got to look at what teams has Nick Saban lost to that have had special quarterbacks. Think about it. Joe Burrow,
Absolutely.
Trevor Lawrence,
Yep.
Spencer Ritter is not on that level.
It's Desmond Ritter.
Desmond Ritter. I mean, the Texas A&M game this year that Alabama lost to was a fluke. I mean, just a complete fluke, just a slow start from them. And I think that they have, obviously, after that loss, have rebounded well. Nick Saban's going to have them fired up. Nick Saban's going to have them ready to go. It'll be a snooze fest like it was with Alabama against Notre Dame, like Alabama against Michigan State. It's 14 right now. God, do I want to bet 14, but it'll be over in the first. It'll be over the first half.
I'm taking
I hate Alabama with a fiery passion. It won't even be close.
I'm taking minus 14 with a passion.
It won't even be close.
I'm betting $100 on that shit.
The public,
if I lose it, I won't be mad because
the public
it'll be a good game.
will hammer Alabama.
The spread honestly may get to minus 17, upwards of.
It'll be
over
20.
16.
It'll be 20.
It may get to that point, and like I hate that it's that way.
Dom,
and shout out Cincinnati, but that's the way it is.
Dom, it's just because Alabama has better athletes and the line of scrimmage.
I understand. I went through the same process. I was like, well, how can I pick against Alabama? They recruit well. They have the better funding. They have Nick Saban as their head coach. They have the mental factor. They've been in the playoff before. It's practically a home game because they're going to Texas. Yeah. I totally went through all of that. But I want so badly for Cincinnati to win that I am willing to pick them.
Heck, if Cincinnati wins, I think Dom should get 2 points for it, honestly.
I'll give them 2 points.
If Cincinnati wins if they win the semifinal, they win the national championship. You can't tell me that they're going to win the semifinal.
This will be the snooze fest game. This is the snooze fest game. The late game will be better.
Well, that's how it's always supposed to be. Just 1, 4, 2, 3 anyways.
I said it on our show, not this past week, but the week before. The reason that Alabama, if best case scenario for Cincinnati, it's within 10 midway through the third quarter. That's best case scenario. And that's when Alabama's going to send out their third defensive line rotation with 3 or 4 5-star recruits. And Cincinnati's same guys that have been playing the entire game, the entire season, they don't have a backup that can come in and sniff the field in this game. It's just going to get to a point where it's too much. It's what happened to them last year against Auburn, and unfortunately, that was the little brother. Or not Georgia. Auburn, Georgia. Georgia's the little brother compared to Alabama.
Yeah. I mean, Cincinnati gave Georgia a good game last year, but this is
that was also when they were coming in as a surprise.
It's a different animal.
They're not coming in as a surprise this year. Nick Saban, you gotta know. Nick Saban's like, if you guys fucking lose to Cincinnati, you're the worst team in Alabama school history.
Like it's like they are. Cincinnati has, and that's what makes it scary too. Like I will point to Dom's point here. It makes it scary because Cincinnati has nothing to lose. They're not expected to win.
They made it into
you
the
got there. You did what you were supposed to do.
You
and
broke the mold.
lose.
You are the first team outside of the Big 5 conferences to make it into the CFP.
That is probably the only thing that I can see.
And the scariest person or the scariest team in college football is somebody who doesn't give a crap and just goes out there and play. They
against any other team, I probably would have picked Cincinnati. Let's keep it.
The only thing
like Michigan, I think I would take Cincinnati to cover. If it was Georgia, I'd pick them to cover. Alabama against Nick Saban, I'm sorry, you're not there yet, Cincinnati.
The one thing that I will say before we wrap up and go to the next playoff, Jalen Waddle's out for Alabama. That's a big loss for them. However,
Jalen Waddle got drafted last year.
Jalen Waddle. John Mechie, sorry, not Jalen Waddle. John Mechie got hurt out for the year.
Best wide receiver room.
But Jamison Williams, Ohio State, is their best receiver, who wouldn't even be their best receiver at Ohio State. That being said, it's here nor there. He will cook Cincinnati. He will. I mean, it's going to be a.
Cincinnati's strength of their team of their defense is
Indiana gave Cincinnati a game this year.
I understand. I'm just saying the best part of Cincinnati's defense is their secondary.
They need Travis Kelce to suit up, and then maybe they have a chance.
You know, Travis Kelce played quarterback.
They need Joe Burrow from the Bengals to be the quarterback.
They need the Bengals to play out there, and then they got to.
Are we talking about the Bengals?
No, we're not talking. Unfortunately, we're not talking about the Bengals. The other semifinal game that we have, Michigan. They did talk about a team who got over the big brother hump. Michigan beat Ohio State, won the Big Ten championship. Now Georgia, also 12-1, stuck as the little brother. Kirby Smart sits on Nick Saban's lap and asks him for Christmas presents. That's the relationship there. That being said, I'm thinking about these two teams. Michigan. The best part about Michigan is their run game. What's Georgia really, really good at? Stopping the run. Now, you know that it's coming. Ohio State couldn't stop it. Ohio State's defense is pretty good. If Michigan's offensive line plays the way they did against Ohio State, everything that I'm about to say will not matter. I just think Georgia's going to have the bodies, they're going to have the size, they're going to have the speed to slow down Michigan's running game. And when that happens, Cade McNamara is not going to throw the ball, not going to throw you a win. That ain't going to happen. So for that reason, I think Georgia wins. I think this one is a low-scoring defensive battle because both offenses are going to struggle against really good defenses. And although Aiden Hutchinson is the best defensive player in the country, I believe, he's only one guy. And Georgia is going to figure out a way to sneak one through. So I think the Bulldogs get the win over Michigan, and that's where I'm kind of standing on that one.
I am also taking Georgia over Michigan. Kind of like you said, if Georgia's strength of their defense is their run defense, and just I don't have any trust in McNamara to throw well enough and consistent enough for them to actually have a win. So I'm going with Georgia in this one.
I'm on the train as well. I can't pick the other team. I'm not even gonna say their team name. I'm just gonna say that other team. Georgia is gonna just absolutely dominate the line of scrimmage. Like I said, there's always a big difference.
Just like Michigan did against Ohio State.
Yeah, we're not talking about that team. We're gonna talk about Georgia, not the other team that's playing in this game. That being said, Georgia will dominate the line of scrimmage. Jimmy, you are right. It's gonna be a defensive battle. I think it's gonna be a low-scoring game, a lot of running. The better out of the two playoff games, and I think it's going to be an Alabama-Georgia rematch. So I don't think there's really much to talk about here. I think Michigan is not as good as everybody thinks they are. I think they just played really well in that Ohio State game.
I think they're better than Ohio State this year.
Well,
but
that's here nor there. But that being said, Georgia, Alabama, bucket.
I'll be the outlier. I'll go Michigan here. Like I said, Georgia beat teams to a pulp. When they were in close games, they struggled. Talk about a Michigan team outside of one game, which was the Michigan State game, keeping teams basically for the most part outside of two other games, Nebraska, which is an outlier, and Ohio State, who was a very, very good team, kept teams under 20 points. Georgia is a team that if they're not scoring points, their defense on the field for a long period of time will hurt them. And talk about, I think, the best defense, the two best defenses in college football in Michigan and Georgia. I'm going to give Michigan the nod because I trust Aiden Hutchinson and those guys on the back end. Maybe it's because I don't want Alabama Georgia again in the national championship. Maybe that's the reason why. And I like some new blood in there. And I wouldn't mind Michigan shocking the world a little bit because, like I said, they're an 8-point underdog. They got nothing to lose. They already won their Super Bowl, quote unquote, beating Ohio State. I think they ride that momentum, and I think Georgia, they thought that this was going to be their conference. This is going to be their year. They're going to come in number one seed in the college football playoff, and that Alabama is no more. And Alabama said, no, we're going to come in and punk you. And I mean punk you. And I think Michigan says, you know what? I think Georgia, they've had their time. I
don't want to hear it. It's Alabama, Georgia. Let's get this wrapped up.
No, I think it's Michigan's time, and I love me some Aiden Hutchinson. He arguably could be the number one pick in the draft, next to Thibodeau from Oregon. The Lions are going to be able to pick between one of those two guys. So I don't think they're going to be that mad about that. But I'm going to go Michigan because I don't want to see Alabama another SEC championship in the national championship. As much as you hate Michigan, how much does it hurt to have two SEC teams in the national championship again?
I just don't even want to watch any of the games. So if I'm being candid with you. If I'm being candid with you, it's Alabama, the most dominant team that we can't stand, and then the other team that's right behind them is our arch rival, and then it's going to be the SEC championship again, which is why they need to expand the playoff. Please expand the playoff.
Georgia, start JT Daniels. Enough with this Stetson Bennett shit.
Agreed.
Start JT Daniels and get the fucking win and get to the national championship. If you start Stetson Bennett, you deserve to lose. That's all I'm going to say. Because that kid lost you the SEC championship. He's going to lose you this playoff game if you give him the opportunity. I think that's a good place to kind of wrap up that conversation. We'll move on to the January 1st games now. It's the most wonderful time of the year, and who better to celebrate this special time in the college football bowl season, NFL playoffs getting ready to go, than betting with MyBookie, our sponsor, MyBookie.ag, because it is the easiest, most fun, and they have the best odds boost to place your money, especially when you sign up at MyBookie.ag and use promo code BENCH, BENCH.
There are so many great games to pick, whether it be bowl pick'em coming up. The NBA season is starting going. You know you're going to want to bet on the college football top 4 coming up in a few weeks. And we have some great games for football coming up. You can even bet on some racing too. The Formula 1 racing this past weekend obviously is over, but there's a lot of good stuff going on at MyBookie. You got to remember to use code BENCH, code BENCH for a double your first deposit.
Whether you want to bet your own hard-earned cash, cryptocurrency, anything like that, the best place to do so is at MyBookie.ag. And when you sign up to create your account, use our promo code BENCH, BENCH, to automatically double your first deposit up to $1,000. Get in on the winning today with MyBookie. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere at MyBookie.ag. All right, now we're going to roll through the rest of them here, not to keep everybody here too long. Outback Bowl, number 21 Arkansas versus Penn State. I went Arkansas. I think they're going to run the ball and run it right down Penn State's throat. Where you go?
I got Arkansas. Not really much to add.
I got Penn State here because I trust the Big Ten school that is toward the top of the Big Ten than Arkansas that is normally a middle-of-the-road SEC school.
Are we sure James Franklin knows who he's playing, though?
That's true.
That is a very good point. Hey, I like Penn State, Nico. I'm with Nico on this one. Penn State, veteran quarterback, unbelievable talent, wide receiver Jahad Dotson, and a very, very, very solid defense for Penn State. Arkansas going to be physical, going to be a close game.
Full transparency, Arkansas is also coached by a former offensive lineman, so never going to pick against that guy.
We're split here.
Roll Hogs. Next game up, Citrus Bowl. Number 15, Iowa versus number 22, Kentucky. Big Ten versus the SEC out in the open. I went with Kentucky. I think Iowa, yes, great, but, Kentucky, we talk about the SEC and the waves of guys they can throw at you. Kentucky can run the ball, and Iowa could not stop the run against Michigan. So for that reason, I'm going Wildcats.
In all fairness, that is Michigan. Michigan's got a really dominant running game, really dominant offensive line. So for that, comparing Michigan's front to Kentucky's front, I take Iowa.
I'm going to go Kentucky here because Iowa just pisses me off. I love their defense. Their defense, I thought, was the best in the country at the beginning of the year. And then they decided they're going to do a QB battle halfway through the year and start a guy every other week. They should just start Padilla because the other guy is just trash. So for that reason, if Padilla is starting, I'll pick Iowa. If he's not, I'm going Kentucky. And I don't think they're going to start him, so I'm going to go Kentucky.
This game to me is just kind of all over the place. Iowa's got a great defense. Kentucky's got Wandale Robinson, the unbelievable wide receiver.
Also, their running backs rushed for over 1,200 yards.
Yep. So I think right here and there, it's a very big flip 'em game. This is a game I'm not going to be putting any money on. It's a very tough game. SEC, Big Ten. Pains me to say this, I do like Kentucky to win this game.
-2.5 spread too. Kentucky is no longer just a basketball school.
Next game up, Fiesta Bowl. Number 5, Notre Dame. Taking on number 9, Oklahoma State. Spencer Sanders is the worst quarterback in college football because all you had to do is beat Baylor. And you would have got Mike Gundy. We would have seen the mullet in the playoff. And you couldn't fucking do it. You throw 7 interceptions in your last 2 games. You're lucky your defense bailed your ass out against Oklahoma. For that reason, I'm still picking Oklahoma State. I hate Notre Dame. And, that's where I sit.
I mean, they were 2 inches away from going to the playoffs. So I like Oklahoma State also here. I think Notre Dame, obviously, with the massive drama they had coaching changes with Brian Kelly going to LSU. For that being said, I do like Oklahoma State. I think Notre Dame's going to be it's going to be a solid game, but I think Oklahoma State's defense is too good, and I think the running game is too dominant. So I'm rolling with Go Pokes.
I'm going to go Notre Dame here because I think this is the school that benefits the most from the coach leaving. Let's keep it a buck here. There's a reason why none of the coaching staff followed him to LSU. It seems to me that Brian Kelly was an outlier on that team and that the players really wanted to play for those other coaches. And I think a new coach, Notre Dame, almost got into the playoff with a first game coaching head coach. And I think Oklahoma State, you fumbled the bag. I don't think they had much to play for. And Notre Dame always just loves winning a big New Year's Six game.
I got Notre Dame. Truthfully, I agree with you. I think having the coach leave, most of the time, the worst thing that can happen to your program, especially right before you go into a bowl game, In this case, I think it benefits them. I think it makes them better. And so I trust them more than I trust Oklahoma State.
Brian Kelly is one of the first coaches since Lou Holtz to get Notre Dame into the national championship. So I don't know why you guys are throwing shade Brian Kelly's way.
No, I didn't throw any shade during Brian Kelly's way. I just said that there's just a coaching change.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
Brian Kelly, Brian Kelly, the most winningest coach in Notre Dame history, along with like 5 or straight 6-10 win seasons or 11 win seasons. He's a hell of a coach.
Yeah, when they play the children of the poor and don't play
Notre Dame, year in year out, has one of the toughest schedules in the country. Guarantee it every year.
All that hurts them is that they don't play a conference championship game. That's
Bingo.
the only thing that.
And they did play one last year against Clemson.
All right, Fiesta.
Buddy.
We were split down the middle in the Fiesta Bowl game. Rose Bowl, number 6 Ohio State versus number 11 Utah. I'm going Utah. They proved that it wasn't a fluke beating Oregon the way that they did, and I think Utah has a little bit more to play for. They've never been in the Rose Bowl before, and Ohio State, it's a consolation prize to play in the Rose Bowl for them. So for that reason, I'm going Utes.
I think this one depends for me how Ohio State takes the Michigan beating that they just had. If they come out and they're pissed off about it and they want to prove that they got caught basically with their pants down against Michigan, then I think I take Ohio State. But if they come out and they're like, oh, poor me, we're not in the playoff, we got beat by Michigan, then they're not going to play well. But I think it's going to be the former, so I'm taking Ohio State.
There are 2 schools in the country that could care less about bowl games if they're not in the Final Four in the national championship, and that's Alabama and Ohio State. For that reason, I'm going to go Utah because Ohio State could care less about this game, and they're just there. And if you were a top talent for Ohio State and going to the draft, you're more than likely not playing in this game.
I mean, consolation prize is the Rose Bowl. I mean, come on, guys. What are we talking about here? It's the best game outside of.
I agree.
Yeah,
but
it's nothing if it's not in the play.
Hang on. The Rose Bowl is still a very, very special game. I think Ohio State will show up. Gonna be a tough game. I think this is a very big sleeper game for Utah. I mean, Ohio State can't stop the run, and they couldn't stop the run against Oregon when they got beat. They couldn't stop the run against obviously Michigan when they got beat. So Utah's gonna give them a game.
When they get physical, they fold.
I mean, they just hired Ohio State. Side note: Ohio State just hired Oklahoma State's D coordinator. Just side note there. Even though I do like the Pokes in the Fiesta Bowl, I am rolling with Buckeyes. Buckeye fan, can't go against him.
It also came down to every game that they had a team punch them in the mouth, they backed out. There was no swing back. It was, you're going to run the ball on us? Okay.
I mean, I actually will counter that because Michigan State, with one of a Heisman contender running back, Kenneth Walker, they tried to run the ball. He had 66 yards. Ohio State was up 49-0 in the first half.
That was one
Michigan
game.
State was the most one-sided football team in the country, and they had no passing game.
So I'm just saying. I'm not saying your argument's wrong. I'm just saying that Ohio State has gotten punched in the mouth. I just think that Michigan wanted that game more.
Michigan State is also the least physical pound the rock team of anybody out there.
I would agree.
So
40 transfers on that roster for Michigan State. Mel Tucker, baby.
Sugar Bowl. Next game up, Baylor, number 7 versus Ole Miss. This is a old school drag 'em out kind of rivalry. Baylor, I'm going with Baylor because of the win against Oklahoma. They got Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. They got a lot of momentum coming into this one. And Ole Miss, I don't know. I don't trust them. Baylor plays defense. Ole Miss doesn't. I don't really like Lane Kiffin, to be honest with you guys. So go Bears.
I'm going Baylor too. That defense is just unreal. Defense wins championships. Defense wins bowl games. Defense wins you games in general. So
I'm going to go Ole Miss here because I love me some Matt Corral. I think he's one of the most underrated quarterbacks in college football. Yes, he's on Ole Miss, but he's put up some really good performances against some very good teams. And if it wasn't for playing Alabama and another Auburn, those are 2 losses. Like, look, Baylor's a damn good football team. They beat Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's not Alabama. It's not like Ole Miss is the slack. So I'm gonna go Matt Corral, Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss Rebels.
Lane freaking train all day. Ole Miss plays with a very high tempo. I watched them in the bowl game 2 years ago. Their tempo is so quick. I know the Big 12 is quick too. However, Lane train, Matt Corral, very special player, and also cannot count out a little Lane train misdirection or some crazy plays that you'll never see. So I'm rolling with the Rebs in the Sugar Bowl.
Kiffin's going to take another job by the time this game happens. We'll finish up with the Texas Bowl before we talk about our national championship games. That's being played on January 4th. Kansas State versus LSU. Who cares? Who cares? Kansas State. Go Kansas State. I don't know. What do you got?
I got Kansas State. I just trust them more than I trust LSU.
I'm picking LSU's sole factor that they can recruit better talent, and
They don't have it this year.
They don't. I mean, they don't have it, but like they still like their third string, second string guys are still most likely and more than often not higher rated players than Kansas State has. I like Kansas State, don't get me wrong, but Kansas State is usually irrelevant sometimes in college football. So I'm gonna go LSU.
I used to really like LSU just because of the fact they had Coach O, and I don't think Coach O should have been fired in the first place. I mean, I know they did get Brian Kelly, which is here nor there. Miles Brenner, the quarterback for LSU, was in the transfer portal, just came back to LSU, so that tells you something right there. Kansas State, I don't know really much about them, so I'm going with the Tigers.
Go Tigers. All right. All right. So for this one, we obviously a couple of us have different matchups. So we'll mention our matchup. We'll mention who we think is going to win for the college football playoff national championship. I have Bama versus Georgia is my matchup. I think Bama gets the win again because of what I said earlier. Kirby Smart is Nick Saban's son, and he will never beat Nick Saban in a really meaningful game. Yes, they won the SEC championship a few years ago. It ain't gonna happen. If that rematch happens, Bama probably wins by more than what they did in the SEC championship. Georgia had no answer, unless maybe JT Daniels is playing quarterback. I just trust Nick Saban now, and I trust Alabama. So roll Tide, and I think they win my national championship this season.
So my national championship is going to end up being Cincinnati versus Georgia. And although I have enough faith in Cincinnati to pick them in the semifinal game, I don't know if I have enough faith to pick them all the way through, so I'm going to go with Georgia. I think that's a safer pick. I know the argument that if they make it through the semifinal, you might as well pick them for the championship. If they make it through then, it seems like they can make it through anything. I guess instead of like a Disney story, I'm more going for like a Friday Night Lights type thing, where they make it all the way to the end and then barely lose. But
Which was false, by the way. They didn't make it to the championship.
I understand, but either way, I guess that's kind of the way that I'm looking at it. So I'm going Georgia as my national champion.
I have Bama versus Michigan. I am going to go wild card here because I don't want to see Bama win again. So I'm going to go Michigan. I have wild card. Like I said, I think their run game is decent enough, and I think Bama. There's off years for Bama. There's on years. This is a quote unquote off year because they have so many freshmen. Next year, I think. There's a reason why they're still the number one team in the country, but I still think next year they're going to be dominant like they were last year and have a much better team because a lot more talent, has a lot more experience, and I think they lost a lot going into last year. So for that reason, I'm going to go wild card and say Michigan wins it for the Big Ten and is the first Big Ten champion since Ohio State to win the college football playoff. I know that just hurt.
Well, I will say this: if Michigan does end up winning, and my pick was Alabama, Georgia national championship, just like Jimmy said, rematch the SEC. First of all, that'd be a big FU to the Big Ten, especially considering that the national championship game is played in Indianapolis. If Michigan is there, boy, the tickets are going to be a fortune. That being said, I've stuck by this, and I will continue to stick by this. You have to beat Bama in order to win the national title. There's not a team on the Final Four that has a good enough quarterback to beat Alabama. The best quarterback of the four is Alabama's Bryce Young. The only other quarterback that I can think of that can potentially beat Alabama is maybe C.J. Stroud. I mean, as far as talent is concerned, there's really not a lot of good quarterbacks out there this year as compared to last year. And of course, you look at the four that are in right now. Bryce Young just won the Heisman. He's the Heisman Trophy winner. Who was it last year? Obviously, Devontae Smith, who ended up winning the national title game. It would take a miracle for anybody else to beat Bama, except for, minus Bama.
The one thing I'll say is if they do play Georgia, yes, they're the little brother. It is very, very tough to beat a team twice.
I will say
especially in basically when you play them back to back almost inside one game. I think Georgia has the best shot of beating them, but I don't think they get by Michigan.
It's the mental edge. It's the mental edge with Alabama. It's having that edge. Does Georgia line up them player to player just as good? Yes. It's that mental edge.
And that's another thing. In that SEC championship game, there was so much talk about Georgia and their stellar defensive line. Alabama had such an edge over those guys.
Yeah.
There were 4 or 5 plays in a row where Georgia's defensive line did not rush the passer. That's why Bryce Young looked the way that he did. Georgia's defensive line won Bryce Young the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
Bryce Young didn't win the Heisman Trophy himself.
He threw some good passes. I mean, Jameson Williams was cooking.
It's really, I said it on our episode earlier this week. Was he the best player in college football? No, not by a long shot. He's on Alabama. He's the starting quarterback, and he had a Heisman moment in the SEC championship. That's why he won the Heisman Trophy.
Agreed.
If you're going to give it to purely the best college football player, probably Aiden Hutchinson. But that's...
I mean, Aiden Hutchinson had one game. One freaking good game. If it wasn't for Ohio State's offensive line, I can't stand them anyway. It don't matter. Alabama's winning it all. There you go. Boom. End discussion. I'll bet anybody won here. Alabama.
I'll put this out there. If Michigan wins the national championship, I'm wearing cleats and khakis to the first show afterwards. So
I just don't want I don't want Alabama to win again.
I
rooted for them last year because I want Charlie to win, but there's nothing that wants me to win again because I want to see something different. I would love Cincinnati to win, but I don't think they have a chance.
Never root for them.
All right. Yeah. Well, obviously, we've been doing this for way too long because we're starting to get a little bit chippy, but I appreciate you two coming back on, making this an annual thing. And if you are still listening to us, you love college football as much as all of us do, enjoy your bowl season. Have a happy and safe holiday. I'll tell you guys now. I'll probably talk to you guys before then, but Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Happy holidays for everybody else out there. But no, I really appreciate you guys coming back on. This was a lot of fun. So hopefully we have a lot of fun things to talk about after bowl season.
The one thing that we did not talk about was, and I have to get this approved by the other people here, but whoever wins this year gets a legit replica of either a WWE or AEW championship.
When we're talking about legit belts, you don't realize how much they're
like $500.
I know. There's no chance. Maybe I'll get you a toy one. I'll get a toy.
I want one that goes around my waist. The toy one doesn't even come close to me.
How about a trophy? How about we get a trophy?
A little toy belt may be easier. A trophy. We'll see what's cheaper. We'll get something, but I'm sorry, Dom. I'm not getting a real belt for this.
Splurge on me for the
we don't have that big of a budget.
But thank you guys for having at least me on. I had a great time. Dom, great to see you as well. Yeah, and hopefully this year I do take the belt or the trophy or what we do. But appreciate what you guys do, and always love listening to your guys' podcast, and happy this is an annual tradition. And sorry the Hoosiers are in it this year, but that's okay.
Yeah, it was another good bowl extravaganza. I think there's a good shot at coming last place again. I just try to throw my hat in the ring. Maybe we got to come up with a punishment for last place. Maybe next year.
You guys are wearing a Mel Tucker t-shirt or something.
Something stupid like that. But yeah, it was.
That's like he would have the most problem.
This is a fun one. It was a 3-hour, I want to say, episode somewhere around there.
Longest episode in podcast history.
So we turned the AC up all the way. So I froze my ass off because I'm in shorts and a t-shirt. But it was much needed. So I'm glad we were able to get through all this. But yeah, it should be a fun bowl season. I will be betting on nearly every single one using mybookie.ag.
And our promo code BENCH, BENCH. Along with that, follow us at FEOTBpod. We'll be putting out a Twitter poll. 24 hour. You'll have 24 hours before each game to vote in our Twitter poll. And if the bench warmers win, obviously we'll definitely have a stipulation for the 4 of us because we did all that research and they're just people scrolling through social media.
I didn't do any research. Everyone else did.
Three out of the 4 of us did all this research, and we might be getting beat by people on the internet. But other than that, listen to our new episodes every single Wednesday of Far End of the Bench. Videos come out throughout the rest of the week. We just released our Canadian team predictions for Olympic hockey, so be sure to check that out, as well as the Team USA roster. And, we appreciate everybody checking us out. Be sure to leave a rating and a review. Our Christmas wish, tell a friend about the podcast, get some more listeners, continue to grow the bench, and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. For that, this is the 2nd annual Bowl Extravaganza for myself, Jimmy Pilato, Nico Bryant, the co-host of the show, and our very special guests, Dom Pilato and Jeremy Fear. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, watching, and listening. We will see you guys next week.
Peace!